Let's start with a question they've never asked you before, but which has been rotting for years in the deepest part of your unconscious. What if everything you do every day made no sense? I'm not referring to a philosophical sense. I'm not talking about cosmic purposes or spiritual answers. I mean something tangible. Your routine, your job, what you do when you open your eyes in the morning and drag yourself out of bed like an obedient body whose soul has been stolen. Have you ever felt there is something inside you that doesn't fit with the world around you? That diffuse discomfort, that background noise that never turns off, as if your entire existence were being pushed in a direction you didn't choose, but that everyone seems to accept without protest. What if I told you that that noise is your essence trying to scream? That discomfort isn't a failure of your nervous system, but an existential alarm, a warning you've ignored your whole life. Think about this. Since childhood, you were told you had to study to become someone, but they never asked you if you wanted to be that someone. They spoke of goals, of achievements, of success, but always under the condition that you produce, that you perform, that you deliver results. From school onward, everything was a preparation for work, as if work was the natural destiny of the human being, as if we were born for that. But wait a moment. What if not? What if all this was an artificial construct, a production theater in which everyone plays their part without questioning the script? They sold you work as personal fulfillment, as the path to completeness. But here you are, with your soul crumpled, and your days repeating like an unbearable echo, feeling that something is wrong, but not knowing what it is. And the most unsettling thing, every time you dare to stop, even for a second, the world punishes you. If you don't produce, you're worthless. If you don't advance, you regress. If you don't do something useful, you're wasting your time. Do you realize the blackmail? They've made you believe that resting is laziness, that enjoying without a goal is immaturity, that contemplating the world without pretensions is a waste of time. But who set those rules? Who decided that living only has value if it translates into productivity? Here begins the crack, that small fissure where the truth begins to seep through. Because there is an ancient suspicion buried, ignored for generations, that now begins to awaken. A suspicion that whispers that perhaps the human being was not created to work, that perhaps all this machinery of performance, efficiency, and utility is nothing but a modern illusion, a sophisticated prison where the bars are not made of iron, but of social expectations. Have you ever felt that you are running away from yourself while complying with what you're supposed to do? That each productive day is also a silent betrayal of that part of you that craves something wilder, freer, more visceral. Haven't you ever wondered why art, pleasure, contemplation are always at the bottom of the list, as if you could only access them when you finish everything important? But what happens when the important never ends? What happens when that promised future, in which you will finally enjoy, always gets postponed a little more? Look around. Everyone is running. Everyone is busy. Everyone is in a hurry. But none of them knows exactly where they're going. The modern world doesn't teach you to live. It trains you to produce. And it does it so well that when you have a free moment, you feel guilty, as if silence were a threat, as if being still were a crime. Do you know what that means? That they have won, that they have programmed you to reject your own nature. Because being human, deeply human, is not about producing. It's about feeling. It's about wasting time without remorse. It's about looking at the sky without waiting for answers. It's about dancing without music, laughing without reason, crying without explanation. But that part of you, the one that does not produce, the one that does not generate profits, the one that serves no economic purpose, you have let it die. You have drowned it in schedules, in metrics, in expectations. And every time you feel something is missing, it's because you are living a life that's not designed for you, but against you. And this is where the voice that said it before everyone else comes in. A misunderstood, marginalized, but brutally lucid voice. Georges Bataille, a philosopher who didn't want to teach you to be more productive, or to achieve goals, or to be successful. He wanted you to get rid of all that. That you dare to look in the forbidden direction. That you accept what no one wants to accept. That your life doesn't have to serve any purpose. That the real meaning isn't in work, or in efficiency, or in utility, but in waste, in excess, in pure experience without purpose. And it's here, right now, when the ground begins to shake. Because this is not just a critique of capitalism, it's a declaration of war against the very structure of modern existence. What if your way of living has been a well-constructed lie? What if what you consider normal life is actually a domesticated version of yourself? Don't close your eyes. Don't switch videos. Don't go to another tab. Because what you're about to hear will not only make you uncomfortable, it will disarm you. It will make you look at everything you do, everything you've done, and ask yourself, for what? For whom? And at what cost? Get ready. This is not just a reflection. It's a rupture, a fracture in the mask you wear. We're going to talk about work, yes, but not as they taught you. We're going to talk about productivity, but from the abyss. We're going to enter the darkest part of the human soul, where time is no longer measured in completed tasks, but in wasted life. And when you come out of here, if you dare to stay, you will not look at your days the same way. Because maybe, just maybe, you'll discover that all this time you haven't been living. You were just functioning. Most don't know, but there is a part of you that has never been touched by work, never disciplined, nor educated, nor corrected. A raw part, primary, unnatural for this society, but deeply human. It has no schedules, no goals, does not submit to timetables. It's the part that activates when you watch a sunset without looking at the clock, when you laugh without knowing why, when you feel euphoria without having achieved anything. That part, which many come to forget entirely, is what Georges Bataille tried to rescue from the rubble of the system. Do you know what's the most unsettling? That part is not dead. It's just locked up. And every day that you continue obeying the mandate to be useful, you lock it up a bit more. It doesn't disappear. It just becomes noisier, more desperate, and you feel it. In the anxiety, you don't know where it comes from. In that sadness without apparent reason. In that feeling of being alive, but not entirely. Bataille spoke of waste as a form of resistance, not material waste, not superficial spending. He talked about existential waste, an act of rebellion against the productive logic. Doing something just because, not because it leads to a goal, not because it has a return, but because it is intensely human. But here comes the problem. Modern society doesn't know what to do with what is not useful. And if you are not useful, if you do not produce, if you are not in constant motion, you become a nuisance. And that's where the real manipulation begins. Because it's not enough that you work. They have to convince you that enjoying is dangerous, that contemplation is laziness, that if you don't do something profitable, you're failing. They repeat it so much that there comes a point when you can't even enjoy leisure without feeling guilty. You have been conditioned to fear rest. But let's go further, because this logic not only infects your actions, it infects your identity. How many times have you defined yourself by your job? I am a designer. I am a lawyer. I am a doctor. And if tomorrow you lose it, what are you? Nothing. Because they taught you that you are what you do, not what you feel, not what you think, not what you imagine. And that's devastating because you become a rented identity. Your value depends on the system that exploits you. As long as you are productive, you exist. When you stop being so, they turn you off like an old machine. And you know what's the most brutal? That the same logic gets into your relationships. You start to see others as resources, as contacts, as networks. How many people do you know who maintain links only out of professional interest? How many times have you felt that someone only approaches you to get something from you? Everything becomes an exchange. And when the exchange runs out, the link breaks. Because we have lost the ability to relate without purpose, to talk without looking for something in return, to be with someone just for the simple joy of sharing. Bataille understood it. He knew that the human being needs excess, not balance, needs to burst, not repeat. That's why he talked about inner experience, a kind of journey to the deepest part of oneself, where there is no productivity or benefit, just intensity. A state in which the human being is freed from all imposed structures and gives in to the mystery of existing without reason. And there lies the key point. We are not designed to live locked in the logic of performance. We are designed to lose control from time to time, to cry without knowing why, to scream without cause, to disappear without notice, to return only when we feel it. But how are you going to allow yourself that if your agenda is full until next month? How are you going to allow yourself to be wild if you have meetings every Tuesday? Do you realize the system doesn't need chains? A calendar is enough. It doesn't need a whip. A notification is enough. The prison is not external. It's inside you, in your guilt, in your anxiety, in your fear of not being useful. And the most perverse thing is that you yourself feed that prison because you feel empty. And to not feel it, you fill yourself with tasks because you are terrified of being alone with yourself. And that's why you seek noise. You seek stimuli. You seek productivity lists. You convince yourself that if you keep your mind busy, you won't have to look at what's broken inside. But the broken remains there, waiting in silence. And you know what happens when you finally stop? When the world is silent, when the tasks are over, when there's nothing urgent, you feel it, that twinge, that discomfort, that feeling that something is wrong, but you can't name it. That's your real self calling, asking why you never gave it space, why you forced it to live in the basement of your life. But not everything is lost, because there is a way out. It's not comfortable. It's not simple. It's not quick, but it's real. And it starts with a single decision: to stop obeying, to stop measuring your day in productivity, to stop thinking that resting is losing, to stop looking for meaning in work and start looking for it in experience. It starts with small acts, not with revolutions. Listen to a song without doing anything else. Walk without a destination. Sit and watch the wall if necessary. Do something just because you feel like it, without justifying it, without monetizing it, without explaining it. Because in that voluntary uselessness, in that waste of time without purpose, begins to breathe another life. One that is not at the service of anything, one that does not ask for permission to exist. And it's at that point where everything changes. When you understand that you don't have to deserve your existence, that you don't have to earn the right to rest, that you don't have to prove anything, there begins the real freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom to not have to do anything to justify yourself. Bataille talked about the shame of waste because he knew that society has trained us to feel bad when we don't produce. But he also knew that that shame is the threshold, the first wall, and that only if you dare to cross it can you start to truly live. So here you are, in front of the wall, with guilt in one hand and freedom in the other. Don't wait for the world to give you permission. Don't wait for others to understand, because they won't. They are still asleep. They still believe that value is in doing, but you already know. You've already seen the crack. You've already heard the voice. You've already felt the twinge. And now, you can't go back. The only question left is, do you dare to stop being useful? Do you dare to reclaim the part of you that serves no purpose but means everything? And if you've made it this far, it's no accident. You're not here out of boredom or by chance. You're here because something inside you, very deep, very quiet, is starting to wake up. Because even if you can't explain it, there's a part of you that no longer wants to just function, that no longer settles for surviving from Monday to Friday to barely breathe on the weekend. And that part, it's not seeking a method. It only wants one thing: space, silence, freedom. When you decide to stop producing for the system starts to decompose within you. You won't notice it all at once. It will come in small details. One day, you'll no longer look at the clock with anxiety. Another day, you'll stop justifying why you didn't do anything useful. And without realizing it, you'll reconnect with something you thought was lost: your ability to simply exist. Because the real revolution isn't in destroying the system. It's in emptying yourself of it, in decolonizing your mind, in freeing your body from the mandate to always be doing something. And if the world falls apart while you are dancing in your room without quite knowing why, then let it fall apart. Because that dance without purpose, without destination, without apparent sense, is more human than 1,000 consecutive days of sterile work. Look, this isn't about becoming a hermit or burning your agenda or leaving everything. It's about recovering what you should never have lost: the right to exist without being profitable. It's about daring to be an anomaly in a world hypnotized by efficiency. It's about holding on to your weirdness, even if it doesn't fit. And if that scares you, good, let it scare you. Because fear at this point is not a sign of error. It's a sign that you are crossing a threshold. Freedom is not comfortable. It's not orderly. It's not predictable. It's chaotic, animal, wild, but it's yours. And it's waiting for you. You're not going to find it in an office. You're not going to find it in your resume. You're not going to find it in your productivity. You're going to find it right in the place you fear most to go, inside you. So now I throw you a challenge. Not one of those that are done to achieve something, a real one. I want you to go down to the comments and write this sentence. I didn't come to serve. I came to feel. It's not just a sentence. It's a declaration, a mark, a silent scream that says you were here and something broke inside you. And if this moved you, if it dislodged you, if it forced you to look at something you had been avoiding for years, subscribe, because this is Psyche Nomad. And here, we don't come to give you cheap motivation. We come to unearth uncomfortable truths, to break what's rotten, to shake the soul. This is for those who are fed up, for those who suspect there's another way to be in the world, for those who want to live without permission. If you're one of them, stay. Now, turn off your phone. Close this tab. Sit in silence. Do nothing. Think about nothing. Don't try to make this moment profitable. Just sit and don't serve. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, even if the world burns around you, do it. Because in that moment of absolute uselessness, you will be more alive than ever.